This is the crown jewel of American flat track. Illinois State Fairgrounds, the Memorial Day weekend special, the Harley-Davidson Springfield Mile. And the mile specialists are out en masse. They want to win this one, including Brian Smith, who won this race a year ago. Jeffrey Carver, who's getting closer and closer to capturing a win on one of the big tracks. And representing the Harley-Davidson factory squad, Sammy Halbert wants to bring his HD into the center of the box. And victory lane here in our singles division. Colby Carlisle's championship comeback has begun. He won our last race of the miles. And the motocross and supercross star Ryan Sipes going to give the singles TT a shot. We'll see how the Kentucky boy adapts. Jason Wygant, Ralph Shaheen, of course, going to give you the call. Heather DeVoe will be patrolling the racetrack all weekend long. Perfect conditions for racing, although there is some rain in the forecast possibly before our Twins race goes off. We had a great race at our last event in Sacramento. 3-mile specialists. You got Mies, Kenny Coolbeth, and Brian Smith right there. Coolbeth tried to make it happen, just misses out. You see how close mile racing is. It really sets us up for great racing on this mile track in Springfield. Always good to see Coolbeth on the left, the 41-year-old veteran and 3-time champ in the mix, along with Mies and Smith. Mies a nice solid points lead right now over Henry Wiles, having a career year. You don't see Brian Smith in the top 10 of the standings because he missed a couple of rounds with a broken leg. But he's healthy, and when you're back on the mile tracks, he's one you have to respect, especially here at Springfield, and we'll show you why. Last year's race, unbelievable finish between the rivals, Smith, who's on the number 1, and the 9 of Mies. This is it, final stretch. This is a literal photo finish, and Brian Smith gets the win. Awesome battle.
This is why everybody packs the grandstands here at Springfield for finishes just like that. That's the kind of mile racing you expect here.
And then we come back here in September for the second Springfield Mile of the year. Same corner, same straightaway, same scenario, but this time Mies was able to hold Smith off. So that's a preview of how good it'll be this weekend.
Well, nobody here, as you can see, has ever done it better than the great Scotty Parker. 14 wins on this legendary facility.
And another legend here, I'd like to say, for what he did on the track, but as an announcer, our heroes, Dave Spain.
Thanks, Jason. Today marks the 99th running of the iconic Springfield Mile. And when you think about American flat track and the history here at Springfield, one voice comes to mind, and that is today's Grand Marshal, legendary motorsports announcer Dave Despain. Dave, you started announcing here back in the 80s when flat track made its return. Talk a little bit about the history and your experiences with flat track here at Springfield.
It occurred to me about 5 minutes ago that it's perfect that this race runs on the same day as the Indy 500. This race predates the Indy 500 by about a decade. I think they ran the first race here in 01. That's 1901. The place is steeped in history, which is the secondary reason why I love it so much. The main reason is it's just the best motorcycle racing, period. I love this place.
We've seen some spectacular finishes here, including last year's race where Brian Smith narrowly edged out Jared Mies. What are you going to be looking for today in the racing action, and do you have a favorite to win?
Well, you got to pick Mies based on the season results so far. It's all about where you want to be going into 3 on the last lap. And they'll experiment with that for the whole race. I mean, you're figuring out who you can draft, who you can't, kind of get him before the finish line so that you can put yourself, it may not be first, may not be second, maybe it's third, so that you can get the draft between the entrance to turn 3 and coming to the finish line, because it's going to be this close, boys and girls.
That's right, and not only are we going to see bar-banging action with the Twins on the mile, but the singles are going to have a battle of their own over on the Springfield TT. 2 riders you guys might want to keep your eye on is Dan Bromley and Jessie Janis. They both started off their 2018 season with a podium at the Daytona TT, and they've been competitive all season. But Dave, thank you so much for your insight and being here with us. And Jason, we are in for an incredible day of racing here at Springfield.
Thanks, Heather. Well, Ralph, you've done a lot of great announcing yourself, but there is one legend and one legend only at his level. It's awesome to have Dave Despain here, the creme de la creme of motorsports announcers. Here's how you get to the main event. 3 heat races, 2 semis, leading to the main. Singles will be 15 laps, and twins on the big track, 25 laps. That means 25 miles. So let's look at some of their highlights from storylines earlier this weekend.
Think about this. Davis Fisher there on that 67, debuted that Indian for Richie Morris Racing back at Calistoga, and here he is winning a heat race just 4 weeks later. Shows you how easy it is to adapt to those Indians.
And remember our last race at Sacramento, these 3 battled it out here again in their heat. Mies just able to hold off Coolbeth and Brian Smith. And then Illinois own, yeah, Jeffrey Carver keeping the fans pumped up. He wins the heat. looking good as he advances through the qualifying brackets. And then in the semi, he has to go one-on-one with the defending champ Mies, and the 23 gives him a heck of a run right down to the line. So Carver's going to be a contender tonight. Smith finishes up in third. Certainly don't count out the number 4. In the next semi, Colbeth rolling hard and pulling away. That's a pretty big lead for Fisher and the rest of the field for a mile track. We're going to transition to our AFT singles division. Our defending champion, Colby Carlisle, a rough start to the season. Did the title get to his head? We'll ask him about that as we prepare for the big Springfield TT with a spoiler in the ranks, the Supercross race winner, Ryan Sipes. American Flat Track on NBCSN is brought to you by Harley-Davidson, the official motorcycle of AFT Twins, and by American Flat Tracker Clothing Company. Find your groove at AmericanFlatTracker.com. And by Law Tigers, America's motorcycle lawyers. Checkered flag practically in sight. Dan Bromley takes the win here at Daytona. Here's the checkers, and the win goes to Price. Morgan Mishler takes the win here in Texas. Oh, Wells almost threw it away, but he holds on to win it. Bromley's gonna try it. Not gonna happen, and Stallings wins. Down to the checkers. Carlisle takes his first win of the 2018 season. An amazing year as far as parity in the singles class, but that has bumped defending champion Colby Carlisle back in points. We talked about a rough season. The championship goes to the 36 of Carlisle.
I kept hearing over and over again, don't let it go to your head. Don't let it change you. You're the same rider. It's just the #1 plate. It did. You know, at Daytona, I didn't think that I could get anything worse than first for some reason. You know, I fell and I broke my shoulder, and that took a long time for me to get back to full strength. I don't know why I went to that where I'm like, I cannot lose. I have to win.
Carlisle won last year's title, but he did not win a main event, and he wore that on his sleeve.
There was so much feedback about me not winning, but apparently nobody saw that I've won before. Just to be able to prove, you know, that I can win, and obviously I have the speed to run up front every week.
Carlisle all the way down to the bottom, and he made it work.
Colby coming off at turn 4 is an absolute rocket.
We went back to the drawing board. We came back with basically a brand new motorcycle. I felt like I was riding in my backyard on a little play dirt bike. I just could ride so hard. I could put my foot up so early, getting to talk noticeably earlier than the other riders. It felt like when I won Sacramento that I just won my title again. I had those same exact feelings, just pure happiness and success. This year I'm a little more willing to kind of take those chances and go for the race win rather than setting my 100% goal on the title. For us to all struggle in the beginning of the year and come back and win a race early on is awesome.
Championship comeback is on. He's 8th and 41 points behind Brandon Price, who has only 4 on Dan Bromley. Brian Wells, who won the title 2 years ago, is 3rd. Really, anyone in that top 9 or maybe even 10 could conceivably pull this off. Really, consistency reigns often with the rising stars, the young guns of this class. So we're going to race on a TT here. Totally different look than the mile track.
And not everybody feels comfortable on a TT, Jason. So this is the kind of day that could really shake up those points.
Yeah, we're going to have lefts and rights and a jump, so that will certainly make it interesting. And to further stir it up, Ryan Sipes, a multi-time Supercross race winner, trying his hand today at TT.
Making his first start here in American Flat Track and fastest qualifier in the singles class is Ryan Sipes. Ryan, first time out here with American Flat Track, but you've ridden motocross, supercross, enduro, a little bit of everything. Talk about the challenges and how difficult it is to race a different discipline every week and how you prepared for the Springfield TT.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult. You can't practice everything, you know, so you kind of pick and choose what you practice during the week. But been riding a lot with my buddy JD Beach, and he's been helping me a ton, and it feels like every time I go on the track I get a little bit better. And I don't get that kind of progression in the stuff I've done my whole life anymore.
A little bit of unknowns for you. You didn't really know exactly what to expect, but now that you've had some seat time on track, what are your expectations for the rest of the program?
I just want to go out, get a really good start, and just ride good. If I can stay on the bike, you know, stay on 2 wheels and ride like I did in practice and be consistent. That's kind of my biggest problem with this stuff right now is I'll hit one corner, I'll rip it, and then the next time through I'm like, I'm gonna do that again, and I don't. I'm thinking about a lot of different things out here that I've just learned, like literally last week. So I don't know, I'm just gonna have a lot of fun. I'm gonna try as hard as I can, and hopefully I can end up on the podium. I mean, that would be really awesome. If I could be top 5, I mean, that'd be great.
That's Ryan Sipes looking to get a strong run here at the Springfield TT.
Sipes, the first American to ever win the International 6 Days Enduro, so true Mr. Versatility. You mentioned the TT could really upset the point standings, Ralph. Shayna Texter didn't even qualify for this.
Yeah, and that's a brutal hit to her hopes, isn't it?
Absolutely. Now, TT specialists are out in force, including Jessie Janis. She's always fast in these types of tracks, and he dominates his semi over Jay Newton. Let's check out semi number 2 and kind of set the table of your contenders for the rest of the night. Dan Bromley looking to reclaim the series points lead. He won the Daytona TT earlier this season. He wins, and there's Sipes in 5th, so he qualifies for the main in his first shot with American Flat Track. Now our lights are on. We're ready for the main event. It's going to be interesting.
And as you take a look at this high shot down onto the racetrack, you can see this TT is even shaped differently than what we had at Daytona. It's got a bit of a kink on that front straightaway, whereas Daytona had a long, flat-out straight.
So we'll see how Sipes does. Meanwhile, Carlisle really strong in the mile the last time out, but switching to this really doesn't have any room to spare. Has to keep making up points. Almost every race is a must-win situation for him. Jake Lewis, a road racer, could be strong. You never really know on these TTs.
No, and it's been a hot, humid afternoon here, and Carlisle's not feeling 100%. He's had a touch of the flu earlier in the week. It's going to be tough for him just to push through it.
And on the back row as well. Here we go. Janis with that inside on the 132. Edges out Bromley, who gets shuffled back. And they almost all come together. Jake Lewis, the road racer I mentioned, getting up front early. Janis going to wrestle the lead from him, but here comes Bromley on the 62. Good racing.
Great move by Bromley to get out front early. Oh, problems
Riders
here.
Down. I think that was Sipes that was right up with the lead group, but now we have a big pile up. That's Brandon Price, our points leader on the 92. Trying to figure out what happened here.
He's right in the thick of the pack as they come over the jump for the first time. Oh, he got all kinds of out of shape. It looked like he knew he was going to land on that rider in front of him, and there's just nothing he could do.
Oh, mid-air collision. That's the worst case scenario. So down and down hard. It was Andrew Luker who he hooked up with. Luker is up and okay, but Price, as you can see, is being now transported. We'll give you updates when we get them on your series points leaders condition. Meanwhile, restart and an even better jump on the inside by the 132 of Janis.
And that jump comes right out of this corner right here.
And holds off. I thought it was going to be Jake Lewis in second, but he just got overhauled by that 62 of Bromley. So the lead pack is pretty much what it was on the first start. And let's see what Bromley can do in the number 2 spot, trying to challenge Janis for the lead.
This track is a much more technical TT than what we saw at Daytona, Jason. So Bromley, well, he had a nice opportunity to get out right away early on. He's going to try to push past here and see if he can't get some gap between him and the rest of the field.
Got a nice line there on the inside. Newton is the rider in 3rd, looking to take advantage if they hook up. Bromley almost had the pass made, almost had it again. Oh, Janis knows how to ride a wide motorcycle. He's been at this game for a while. Another shot from Bromley. Can he get it to the inside? No.
Well, it looked like he had a great drive off the corner. I thought he was going to pull that off.
Keeps shading toward the inside in these corners. Here's another attempt at it. Oh, hard braking here. Threading the needle. Here comes the jump, and Bromley completes the pass. That was close.
The bike hooked up well coming off the corner, and once he gets around him, you think it's tough to get around Janis. Bromley's not a little guy. It's really going to be tough to move him out of the way.
Yeah, you can't get physical with Bromley. He's probably the tallest and maybe heaviest rider out here. He's going to try to check out while the good battle's breaking out behind them. And with Price, your points leader, now out, this is a golden opportunity for Bromley to take advantage, try to reclaim that points lead. Janis, though, keeping him honest, Ralph.
He's doing his best to stay right there with him, and they've gapped the battle back there for 3rd. So for Janis, getting up on the podium tonight would be a fantastic gain in the points.
It's Newton trying to hold off the pack behind him in 3rd. Little look over the shoulder from Bromley. Oliver Brindley, the Englishman, in 4th. He's the one trying to make the move on Newton as we watch this fight for 3rd. Bromley almost had it. Just able to hold off. It's really impressive how much these guys are pushing the envelope. If you blow the line in the corner one time, you're going way back in one of these TTs.
No doubt about it, even though these guys have a healthy lead right now. And here's Colby, as we said, not feeling well, battling with the flu bug and the hot, humid conditions here. I think he's just hoping to get out of here with some points tonight.
Oh, and a little mistake by the rider behind him. That's going to help. It's the 38 of Tanner Dean, who's all over Colby. Bromley slipping away just a bit, but there's still plenty of time in this race. Janis is within striking distance if there's a mistake.
The way Dan is ridden on the TTs this year, boy, he's probably the one guy in the field that wishes there was a bunch more on the schedule, because he's been fantastic at it.
Oh, and a little mistake off of the corner. Janis got a lot closer than he was a couple of laps ago. He got a little excited. So right now, Dan Bromley trying to hold on to the lead. Colby Carlisle is in full point salvage mode on a very tough track here at Springfield. Dan Bromley trying to go 2 for 2 on TTs. Big battle here, American flat track, the Springfield TT in our singles division, the 98. Jay Newton is third. The Englishman, Oliver Brindley, trying to overhaul him for the third place position. Well, Dan Bromley leads Jessie Janis out front. What? I didn't think you could make an outside line work. It almost did for Brindley.
Well, that's, I think, the one thing about the TT racing, right, is you got to throw anything and everything at it, and Oliver is putting on a fantastic ride.
Almost worked. He's going to keep the heat on Newton. A couple of Yamaha riders battling it out for the third place position. Another Yamaha's in second. Let's send it up to Heather with an update on the 24.
That's right. We have a great battle going on between Jay Newton and Oliver Brindley. Oliver Brindley told me earlier that he has a good setup on the motorcycle today. He just needs to survive. One thing he also said is he would love to get his first podium finish of the season.
I believe that would be the first podium finish for him in his career even. And he is doing everything, going inside, outside, working Newton. They almost touched wheels and tires coming out of that corner. Full press being put on by the 24, but he cannot find an opening.
Well, this is without a doubt the most spirited battle on the racetrack right now. And Brindley with a great move to the inside.
All's fair in love and racing. That was aggressive, but you got to make it happen, especially with only 3.5 laps to go.
Well, that's it, and he's got his Yamaha hooked up, and he's feeling really comfortable with it.
Newton trying to come back, a few mistakes because they're pushing the envelope. Newton's got the opening. Will he take it? Oh, and Brindley just got the leg in front of the tire, and there was nothing Newton could do. And you got Jake Lewis, the road racer there in the Suzuki, starting to creep up as they're slowing each other up with this battle.
Well, this has been fun to watch. And both of these riders certainly making a name for themselves here tonight.
Now, Lewis was very fast in her TT at Daytona, but an early crash, we didn't really get to see what he could do in the results. He's in 5th. He wants more. Back to the leaders. Bromley, he is not safe yet. Janis is still applying the heat with 2 to go. Your battle for 3rd. Brindley, a tiny bit of gap now over Newton. And there's Lewis. He's right in the fight.
Yeah, Lewis has definitely creeped in on his Suzuki. And Bromley, I thought, was going to walk away with this once he got out front about the halfway point. But a mistake here or there has closed the gap.
No, Janis is still there. White flag going to be coming out. Good story for Bromley. Started the year as a privateer. Basically, his dad funding his racing, but KTM has announced they're going to race this singles class with a factory effort next year. So they are taking an interest in what Bromley is doing, battling for this title this season, and it's getting a lot more support. And he's going to make them proud if he can just hold off Janis to the end. Janis is going to throw everything he has at him, though. Last couple of corners coming up. Can he get a line to the inside? Bromley's got to be perfect. He is. He knows he's got it. He does have it. Bromley wins his 2nd race of the season. And Brindley, the Englishman, is going to bring home his first career podium. Solid run for 3rd over Newton. And Lewis, a good effort in the top 5. And the veteran Janis, good sportsmanship in the number 2 position. Here's your entire field. Oliver Brindley, that's first podium for him. Andrew Luker would actually recover from that crash, put it inside the top 10. Ryan Sipes, he had a crash of his own, but still impressive, finishing just ahead of your champ, Carlisle. Here's Heather.
Dan Bromley with his 2nd win of the season and 2 for 2 on the TT tracks. We saw you make the pass around Jessie Janis there, and you never looked back. Tell us about how you got around him.
Oh, Jesse's always a great rider and great competitor on these TTs, you know. He grew up doing it just like me, and can't thank everybody enough. KTM North America, 60 helmets. Everybody behind me, FMF for shipping exhaust pipes, NBC for coming out to these great races, and AFT for putting on a great show.
Hey, we appreciate that, Dan. Well, now it's an 18-point lead suddenly because Price did not finish after the big crash early. Janis is third, so what was once a very close title fight has spread a bit. Let's check in with our second-place finisher, who's with Heather.
Second place for the second year in a row is Jessie Janis. Jessie, you had a great run out there. Tell us a little bit about your race and what more did you need?
I'll tell you what, when the track was broken up like it was before the main, I knew I was going to struggle a little bit. And, man, Dan's good. I mean, there's a reason he just took over the points lead, and it's because he's an amazing rider. Had the whole shot, you know, I heard him behind me, and I was just like, man, I hope he made a comment about letting me be the 7th different winner, but I think he was just lying. So, yeah, it was good. I mean, second place is awesome. Roost Systems Yamaha was handling great out there. It's not a win. That's what we wanted, but I tell you what, second place is pretty good.
And third feels pretty good if you're this man, Oliver Brindley. First trip ever to the podium, and he's with Heather.
Oliver Brindley bringing it home third for his first career podium here in the AFT singles class. What does it mean to you to finally get on the box?
Well, it's been a long road, you know. Me and my family and all my sponsors have been working at finally getting here. And, yeah, it's just all the effort, you know, all the time, traveling, you know, everything to do with the race, and it takes a lot of work to finally get here. So yeah, it's amazing. Like yeah, I'm so happy.
Well, how do you mark podium finishes these days? You take selfies on the box with your buddies. This guy's been collecting podiums since long before selfies were a thing. We're going to check in with Kenny Coolbeck when we return. American Flat Track on NBCSN is brought to you by Indian Motorcycle. Be legendary. By E3 Spark Plugs, the official spark plug of AFT. And by Vance & Hines, the presenting sponsor of AFT Twins. It's been a renaissance season for three-time national champion Kenny Coolbeck. He's been in the hunt for the title all season long and also in the hunt for race wins. Coolbeck is in the draft. Can he pull out of it and try to slingshot? He's going to go for it. No! Mies holds on and wins.
Sacramento, you know, I passed Jared once on the outside in the beginning of the race and told myself I just need to kind of follow him. On the last lap, I should have pulled out sooner. My runs were way better off the corner. You live and learn, and you apply it for this weekend. Springfield is a special place. There's nothing like it. It's kind of like the Daytona 500 for our sport. We're so close going down the straightaway, and anybody can win. A lot of people go fast here.
Coolbeck runs up around the outside, makes that pass.
There we go, ladies
around
and gentlemen.
the outside.
Kenny Coolbeck and Brian Smith side by side.
Just pretty much went for it, really. He held it wide open, and he kind of slowed down and, you know, went sideways, and I got a lot of momentum through apex. It worked out. It was a close finish. Hopefully we could be right there the same and do it again today. You know, I'm right there. You know, I'm 95, 98% of being comfortable on the motorcycle and knowing what it does. It's a unique motorcycle. It's pretty cool that Indian Motorcycle came out with this motorcycle, and here you go. Give me the money and you can go win races. My last year, I want to make the best of it and have fun, enjoy what I've done all my life. I want to get a win. That's my goal right now. We're right there.
Kenny was even briefly the points leader early in the season, so the old dog got some new tricks here.
He has not lost a step, there's no doubt about it, and he could certainly put his Indian on the top step of the podium before the season is over. What a way it would be for him to go out.
And especially to do it at Springfield, which is really the race to win if you pick one on the AFT calendar. So now the riders are plotting their strategy to do just that, win Springfield, and a lot of it will come down to tires. For more, here's Heather, the Dunlop Tire Tech Tip.
All riders today will be running the R8, which is the softer of the two tire compounds given to the riders from Dunlop on those mile tracks. Now today, we are seeing extreme temperatures and a dry racetrack, so we're seeing unusual wear that we don't normally see here in Springfield. But even more importantly, riders are seeing tire wear on the front tire. After speaking to Brian Smith, he told me because of the tighter groove, the bikes are more hooked up, which puts more emphasis on that front tire. In this race today, guys, tire management will be key.
Well, thanks, Heather. Here's an update on Brandon Price, who you saw go down earlier in the singles main event on the TT track. See the big crash over the jump. He was transported away. He's in the hospital, and now an update from his mother on Facebook. And he's up and alert, joking around, and even going to watch the race on fanschoice.tv. So awesome to hear that Brandon's going to make a recovery. Hope to see him back at the races soon. Got to get back in title contention. He was the points leader coming into today's race in the singles division. We've talked quite a bit about the history of Springfield, but you cannot do that without also talking about the history of Harley-Davidson at Springfield. We'll look back on some of their great rides in the past, and then we're going racing to Springfield Mile. Coming up next. Harley-Davidson Springfield Mile. The name is apt because in many ways Harley-Davidson has owned this event throughout its illustrious history.
You ask any guy here in the pit area today what race they'd like to win more than any other, and I'll bet you 90% of them say they want to win the Springfield Mile. All you Harley-Davidson fans, woo, 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 woo!
So who's going to carry the flag? The guys like Chris Carr and Scotty Parker the past. Sammy Halbert's got a shot at it on his Harley. There's Brian Smith and the Indian, always strong on the mile tracks. And Davis Fisher picking up that Indian with Richie Morris Racing, getting faster by the week. Going to be a really interesting race with a lot of potential winners.
Sure is, and 14 times the crowd had to hear Parker give that woo 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 out there on the box, as he always did when he'd win a race. Legendary. And boy, it's going to be a different Springfield today, because with the rain, that groove's going to be a little bit more narrow. Not exactly what we're used to, but you can see it coming off of 4.
And it's time to go racing. The crown jewel of AFT. It's the Springfield Mile. What happened to Brian Smith off the start on the number 4? He's gone all the way to mid-pack. K&N Holeshot Award up for grabs. It's going to be his teammate, Brad Baker, on the number 6, who's got it. So Smith, he's got a lot of work to do now from the back.
Boy, Brian has been so good with his starts all day long, but that one, no, it hurt him bad.
And a quick draft and pass to the lead by Jared Mee. He's got Kenny Coolbeth in the number 2 following him. And you're going to see that type of action, I would assume, throughout most of this race. The draft, especially on that backstretch, going to make this one fun to watch. Jared Mee to the point position.
Now, everybody's worried about those tires. You heard Heather mentioning that. That's going to be the other problem now for Smith, because he's going to have to push his tires just to get to the front. And to slip there for third is going to allow Carver to come through.
All right, so the home state native up into third around Baker. Also had the 44, Brandon Robinson in the Harley. He's trying to make moves just behind them. Another duel, Mees and Coolbeth, 2 of the veterans. They know how to race these tracks. And then a more of a wild card, I'd say, with Carver. He's got the talent, maybe not as much experience. It would be big if he can go right through them and get the lead.
Well, you heard me say earlier in the year, the one guy really in the field he was concerned about maybe stealing a victory away from him was Carver. I was kind of thinking maybe Coolbeth and Mees would be able to pull away from the pack and work together. They didn't get away quick enough. With Carver there now, boy, they can't break away. He is on him.
And Davis Fisher, another young rider with a ton of talent. He's hooked up. 4-way battle for the lead. Carver makes the move now on Coolbeth. So number 23 up to second.
And he did it on the outside, Jason.
Yeah.
We've talked about the narrow groove here, but boy, he made a narrow groove work on the outside. Now he's going after me.
Yeah, wide enough on the inside, and Jeffrey Carver takes the lead, and you know the crowd here in Illinois loves it. Their home state native has got the number 1 spot.
So much for worrying about tire wear. Carver came charging through the pack, and Mees gonna test him a little.
Yeah, they are not waiting at all, Ralph, going right for the throat over and over. Mees back to the number 1 spot. Carver, Coolbeth, Fisher, they are all hooked up. Let's see if anyone can bridge the gap to him. Want to watch the number 20 of Jared Vanderkoy on the factory Harley. He's making moves just behind this group. Brad Baker is there as well. Let's see if they can catch up. Well, you hear the tire wear. You can literally hear them scrubbing speed coming into these corners on that hard blue groove.
And remember, 3 of these 4 Indian bikes up here are basically privateer entries. Mies with that number 1 is on a factory bike. The other 3 are really all privateer teams. It just goes to show you how good that motorcycle is.
Mies on the factory bike, but Carver is on a rail. Used that outside for the second time to make a pass. Coolbeth in the number 2 putting a little heat on Mies. And starting to show up in this picture is the number 4 of Brian Smith. Blew the start, but only 6 laps later, he's inside of the lead group.
Yeah, now how much tire is he going to have left, right? That's what everybody was worried about. This time, Mies comes back by Carver on the inside.
You go back to our last race with Smith actually saying you cannot race the first lap of a mile like you do the last. He might be forced to, trying to catch them. Well, these two really aren't holding back much. Not concerned with the tire wear. They are going at it. Carver and Mies, Coolbeth, Fisher. Great racing here at Springfield.
Boy, and they are pushing it pretty hard. The word was everybody was going to kind of be a little bit easy on those tires, but Carver is forcing Mies and the rest to push, and now Fisher is going to exert his strength a little bit as he moves to 3rd.
Awesome to see Davis Fisher with this kind of run. A couple of years ago, he was labeled as maybe the best talent moving up through the ranks. A couple of tough seasons. He has bounced back big time, and he's putting himself in position to try to get the lead on the 67.
Boy, Carver's strong. Passing on the outside, going into 3, passing on the inside, going into 1. That 23 bike looks really good.
Well, they call Carver the Wizard. Got a pretty unique look off the track, but he's a wizard on it right now. Everything Mies is trying, he seems to have an answer for. Even when he gets past, he's able to get it back pretty quickly, and now actually beginning to open up a little bit of a gap.
Boy, he's really starting to pull away a little bit, isn't he? He had a good bike length there, coming off of 4. Jared closes that up a little bit by the time they get to 1.
Oh, no! Brandon Robinson, who had a great run going, appears to be out of this one with mechanical problems on the 44. Meanwhile, the 4, Brian Smith, keeps getting closer in 5th. The battle for the lead, they've caught back up to Carver, Fisher, Mies going at it. And as they're swapping positions with each other, that's just allowing Smith to get that much closer.
Well, you saw Fisher bobble a little bit coming out of 4. If Smith can catch up to Coolbeth, then maybe those two can work together to close that gap up there and maybe even tag along with Mies. But I'm really impressed with Fisher and Carver.
Yeah, really strong rides for them. See the 17 of Wiles there in front of Baker on the number 6. All right, they're drafting past each other on the backstretch, Mies and Fisher. And while they do that, for the second time, a little bit of breathing room for Jeffrey Carver. Also a little wiggle, though, off of turn 4. You never know what's going to happen. Still not even to the halfway point of a mile race. Oh, I'll keep my eyes on that number 4. He keeps getting closer, and to do that without the draft. Oh, no, Vanderkoy. Another Harley with a problem. He was running well.
That's 2 of the 3 factory Harleys out, and a big sigh from all those fans in the grandstands wearing orange and black. That just leaves them Sammy Halbert, who's just outside the top 10.
Jeffrey Carver pulling away now from Davis Fisher, who has at least temporarily won the battle with Mies.
Here's the problem for Jared Mies. He can't wait. He's got to go, or Carver's going to get too far away.
Wow, you don't often see this kind of a lead on a track like this. Can Mies get back in the hunt against Carver? Jeffrey Carver, born and raised right here in Illinois, is trying to win Illinois' biggest race on the flat track calendar. It's the Springfield Mile on Memorial Day weekend. He's got a lead over Davis Fisher, Jared Mies, and slowly but surely, Brian Smith on the number 4 has gotten into the group. He's right behind the number 2 of Kenny Coolbeth. He's worked awfully hard to get there.
Brian is now a player for his spot on the podium. It's a question of how much tire he has left. And I think that Mies and Coolbeth are thinking maybe Carver's pushing his tires too hard, too early. They're maybe thinking he was going to slip back to him. But there's only 10 laps left, Jason. I don't know. Carver's got a healthy lead.
The one rider that looks aggressive in pursuit is Davis Fisher on the 67. It would be absolutely massive for Fisher, who only joined up with this Richie Morris team 4 races ago, to bring them to victory lane in the biggest race of the year, and he has Carver in his sights.
Well, he won a heat race earlier this weekend, and now he's got himself in a position to not only be on the podium, but to steal a big win.
He had a line there on the inside. No, Brad Baker. This track, it has become a race of attrition. We hear it was overheating problems for the 2 Harleys that we lost. Now one of the Indians is out. So a couple of factors, not only the battle and passes, but are all these machines going to be able to hold on to the finish also? No change up front right now. Carver able to hold everyone at bay. Let's send it down to Heather.
Davis Fisher has looked strong all day. He was fast qualifier coming into this race here at Springfield. He told me in last year's race, he basically went to school and just tried to learn as much as he could. The other riders have more experience than him in the draft, but this year he's hoping to compete and race with the guys up front. So far, so good. He told me he just needs to put together a good 25-lap race and be smart.
Heather, you want to gain experience, you're going to have Jared Mees, Kenny Colbeth, and Brian Smith breathing down your neck for podium positions there at Springfield.
He's got to be thrilled with the way he's riding here today, and I'm sure Richie Morris is very happy with the performance of his team at this point.
Carver, lead is pretty much stabilized. He's not pulling away any further, but Fisher not closing either. What's going to happen first? Can Fisher go after the leader, or is Fisher going to fall into the clutches of 3 experienced veteran riders behind him? And it looks like Mees on the number 1 is ready to put the attack to the 67.
Before the day started, I think everybody here would have told you that, yeah, we expect to hear the names Mees, Coolbeth, and Smith all in the hunt. Not in the hunt for 3rd. That's what they're fighting for, because it's Carver and Fisher who have a lock right now on the top 2 spots.
So this top 5 is tight, and then behind them you get Chad Coase and Henry Wiles dueling for 6th. Wiles in the 17 is 2nd in the series standings, so he needs every position he can get here. It's a great battle.
It's a good opportunity for Henry to pick up some more points, because Mees, the guy he's chasing in the points, struggling a little bit here today, looking at a 3rd. If he can get around Coase, that would help him a bunch.
Mees trying to get around Fisher for 2nd, while Carver's really started to stretch it. Probably rather me not even mention this, but at our last race, the mile in Sacramento, he was actually out-dueling Mees for the lead in the semifinal qualifying race, and then his engine let go. And we've seen a lot of mechanical problems already. We've also talked about tire wear. Even though Carver has a solid lead, 5 laps and essentially 5 miles of racing left, still time for one of these riders to go after him.
Looks like some of the mile masters are trying to give Davis Fisher some of that schooling he was thinking about. Mees got around him, and now it's Coolbeth and Smith lining him up.
Let's go to Heather.
Kenny Coolbeth Jr. told me after his semi that his plan was to get out front early in the main event, but unfortunately that did not work out. You see him now running in the top 5, but one thing he has on his side is veteran experience. He also said he knows how to draft pass, he knows how to get it done, and to be in the right spot at the end. He has 5 wins here, guys, so keep an eye on that too.
Kenny had a good plan getting out front early. It's just Carver who executed the plan.
Unbelievable, the ride he's putting in right now. Fisher and Coolbeth still duking it out for 3rd. And now that Brian Smith has gotten to them, we have not seen much aggression or pass attempts. You do have to wonder, how much tire did he use to make up ground after the bad start? He's still there, but not able to make any passes once he got to the back of the group. It's Fisher, actually, who's been zapped now. He's up to 4th.
Coolbeth and Mees are going to try to work together here to reel in Carver, but they're going to have 3 laps to go. I think they might have waited too long.
Carver got 3 miles left, separating him for what would be a huge win of the biggest race of the year. The veterans, Mees and Coolbeth, continue to battle just like they did at our last race, but there it was for the win. Now it is for 2nd. Fisher and Smith right there. They've all ridden hard, but they have not had an answer for the Wizard on the 23 in the lead. Good battle, though, for 2nd.
Carver just put his head down, and he is checked out. I think these two probably realize that it's going to be very difficult for them to catch him. So now I think they're just sizing each other up for that fight for 2nd at the line. Little traffic could come into play here, though, maybe.
2 to go. Time is running out if anyone wants to make a challenge. It is Carver's race to win. Can he stay focused? Can he avoid thinking about all the things that could take this huge victory away from him? He's got to stay, as they say, in the moment. He doesn't have to worry about getting past. He's just got to manage it. Battle continues to rage. Fisher's not out of this. He could still pull up the podium. He's right behind second and third.
There's no doubt about it. Carver just has to stay on that blue groove. If he slips up, that's where the mistake will come. If he can hold his line, he should have enough room.
Backed by Roof Systems of Dallas, that's your leader, Carver. Often runs the sponsorship from Carver's Barbecue. That's the barbecue joint that his family owns. He still works there at times, but he has made it work on the racetrack today. Some of the best ever to do this, and he took it to them straight up. They're battling with each other. They're going all out. Mies, oh, look at this. Late pass from Fisher trying to dig out a podium against Coolbeth. Coolbeth right there with Mies. It's the typical type of racing you expect in the last lap, but it's not for the win because the victory is going to go to Jeffrey Carver.
Carver with an outstanding performance here today. Got around him early, put his head down, held that thing wide open, and pulled away early. Tire issues, not so for Jeffrey Carver, and Mies can only shake his hand and tell him, job well done.
It's also wide open there for sixth, and Coast just held off Wiles to the line. Mikey Rush and the indefatigable, unageable Ronnie Jones in the top 10.
Yeah, Ronnie keeps pushing that oldest guy to make a main mark even further out, doesn't he?
It's impressive. But most impressive of all, Jeffrey Carver. Dominant performance to win here at Springfield, and we'll talk to him about it after this. American Flat Track on NBCSN is brought to you by Harley-Davidson, the official motorcycle of AFT Twins. By Replay XD, the official action camera of American Flat Track. And by American Flat Track, America's original extreme sport. Sunoco Go the Distance standings. We're totaling up all the miles run in practice, qualifying, and the mains this year. Henry Wiles has acquired the most. Here's your Motul move of the race. Jeffrey Carver had it absolutely dialed in here, Ralph. This is an impressive pass.
What a place to get your first ever mile victory. And Carver makes the move here on Mies. And I think Mies probably figured Carver would come back to him with the tire wear, but nothing to it. Carver just held it open and checked out.
A really cool story for Carver. Only the second Illinois native to ever win here, Springfield, in his home state.
Jeffrey Carver, your winner here at the Springfield Mile in dominating fashion. You got it done in front of your home crowd. First mile win, first mile of the season. Describe your feelings right now and what this win means to you.
Oh man, I'm overheating right now. It's so extreme. I'm just so happy with it. You know, we pushed so hard to do this, and I had the lead with halfway to go, and I was like, man, it's gonna be a long main event. I was trying to breathe and everything and stay focused, but it's just amazing. You know, it just things just kind of fall into line, and we did some last-minute adjustments, barely got the bike going in time for the main event, and, you know, I really got to thank my team. They did great. Roof Systems backing us, giving us what we need this year to win some races.
Your dad told me earlier he had a good feeling about today and thought it was going to be your day. Did you have the same feeling going into that?
Well, after last weekend with the mechanicals and stuff, and, you know, that stuff just gets burning inside, you know, the Kundalini, and it's just coming home with all my friends and family. It just feels so good, and there's just something about this place. It's always been the place I want to win, and I've rode in the mid-pack, backpack, just caught the lead draft, so it's amazing to get it done here.
Dave and Tom Marquisal, the promoters of this race, actually were helping sponsor Carver in his early days when he came through the ranks. They have to be happy to see him get a win in front of the home fans. He's up to fourth in points. Mies with a solid gap over Henry Wiles. An off day for Mies. Still a podium. Here's Heather.
Jared Mies comes home second for another podium finish. Jared, you were trying to catch up to Jeffrey Carver there, but prior to that, we saw you battling with a couple of other riders. Do you think that held you up?
Maybe a little bit, but I'll be honest, in the beginning when me and Jeffrey were going back and forth, I kind of was like, okay, I'm going to let him press the pace and hang back and try to conserve tire. It was really hot today, and the track was really abrasive and showing some tire wear in our semi. So I wanted to kind of, you know, play it somewhat cool in the beginning and I'm like, oh boy, if he's going to gamble with that tire, I best I do too. And started running him down and ran him down maybe the last 4 laps. You know, I think he was probably getting, you know, just that last 4-lap fever, you know, looking back I seen. But hats off to him. He rode phenomenal. He was fast all weekend. And I just really wish I wouldn't have took the gamble in the beginning and would have just pressed him and maybe tried to duke it out of the line. I definitely couldn't have broke away from Jeffrey. He was really strong today, and just goes to show you those Indians are stout, and it was another Indian sweep. So huge thank you to Indian Motorcycle and my whole entire team. They been working really good this year.
We continue to roll through the miles. We're going to Lexington, Kentucky for the Red Mile next. Carver going to try to make it 2 in a row.
I don't think Jared will let him get away that quick, that easy next time.
He knows how to stop these guys from getting too much confidence. Great racing in the singles division on the TT track. Congrats out to Dan Bromley. Also retakes the points lead and has some cool selfies to put on social media. And Jeffrey Carver makes history by taking the win on the big track. For Ralph Shaheen and Heather DeVoe, I'm Jason Wygant. Thanks for watching.